Hi, this is Sensei Mark Cohen from Sand Hills Karate Club and Tiger Arts. And in this short video, I am going to demonstrate the hip motion or the body motion that we teach our students on an orange belt level to try to get more power into their techniques. So before I do the demonstration, let me do a quick recap of some very basic physics here. We all know that force is mass times acceleration. And what the hip motion or the body motion is about on these techniques is increasing the mass part of that equation. So just for example, if I'm in this forward stance, I'm going to walk forward in our crescent walk and do a forward punch like this. Without the body motion, it would look like this. And so I don't know what my arm weighs, 10, 15 pounds. I weigh about 200 pounds. So the goal of the body motion or the hip motion is to get more of my body weight into my technique. So if we do that same forward punch with the body motion, what it looks like is, again, I do my crescent walk, but this time before I throw my punch, I'm going to cock my hips somewhat. I'm going to exaggerate them. I'm really exaggerating this here. And then as I throw the punch, and notice I punch through here, and we know from Newton's third law of physics that for every action there's an opposite and equal reaction. So there has to be a little bit of a recoil where I get back to a square forward stance. All right, now that's the theory. Let me demonstrate this for 8 of our first 12 basics. I'm not going to demonstrate the body motion for the kicks because that's a little bit different. What you will notice is for some of the basics that we do, the hips are already cocked in the right position after you do your crescent walk, but for others they are not. So let's start with the 5 basic techniques from the first 12 where your hips are already kind of naturally cocked. So if I'm in a forward stance here, and I'm going to do a down block. The cover position for our down block, which we call basic number 1, is the arm that is up, is the arm that is going to do the block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slide forward into my crescent walk and cock. My hips are already sort of cocked. I'm exaggerating here. I do the down block, and then I come back to center here. Notice that this other arm is up in a chamber, ready to go if necessary. Same thing with an up block or a number 2. The hips are already sort of naturally cocked. Here's the cover position for our up block, our number 2 basic. The arm on the inside, my arms are crossed to sort of protect my chest. The arm on the inside is the arm that is going to be doing the block. I'm going to slide forward using my crescent walk. Again, my hips are already naturally cocked out this way. I'm going to exaggerate here. As I start to turn back and do the block, notice that the hand that does the block is over my head. It's not out here. That doesn't do me any good if somebody wants to bring a club down on my head. So I want the arm that did the block to finish up here. Basic number 5 is our opposite punch. So an opposite punch is a punch that is done over the back leg. So from here, what I'm going to do, this is one where your hips are naturally cocked. If I do my crescent walk, my hips are already sort of here. Again, I'm going to just exaggerate this. And that's my opposite punch, trying to get more body weight into my technique. The number 8 block is called the inside-outside block. The cover position for that is the arm that is down, is the arm that does the block. If you're sort of a big-chested, bulky person, you may not be able to get your elbows completely together here. That's okay. So what I'm going to do is I slide forward in my crescent walk. Hips are already cocked the way I want them. Again, I'm exaggerating. Come up and do the block. Recoil so I finish nice and square. This is an area block, so I should be able to block everything between here and here with that block. The last basic of the first 12, where the hips are already naturally cocked, is called a pseudo block. So the cover position for shudo block is the arm that is up, is the arm that's going to do the block. Could also be a shudo strike. We do this basic from a back stance. So I'm going to slide forward into a T stance or back stance. My hips are already kind of naturally cocked out here. I'm exaggerating. I come down here, recoil. That's my shudo block. Now, there's 3 basics of the first 12 where your hips are not naturally cocked. And those are the forward punch, the outside-inside block, and the roundhouse punch. So let me show you what we do with those. I already showed you the forward punch, but now I can narrate it. So I want to do a forward punch, but when I do my crescent walk, my hips are not cocked really the way that I want them to be cocked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate my hips this way, and then as I do my punch, I can get more of my body weight into that punch, and then I want to recoil so I finish up square. Same thing on our number 7, the outside-inside block. Here's the cover for the outside-inside block. It's another area block. I'm going to do my crescent walk, but again, my hips are not in the ideal position for me to get my weight into the technique. I'm going to cock my hips a little bit this way. Again, I'm really exaggerating. I'm going to come across like that, and then back to center. And then finally, the roundhouse punch. The cover position for that, or the chamber for that, is like this hand. My back hand is holding a bucket of water, let's say. What I want to do is do my crescent walk here. Then I want to cock my hips like this and come up like that. Notice that my elbow is higher than my knuckles. I'm striking down onto the temple. So that's a very quick video about our body motion or our hip motion on our strikes basics. I hope that it's helpful to you. Again, the idea is to increase the mass part of that force equals mass times acceleration equation by getting more of your body weight into every technique. Now, you're not always going to be able to have the time to do this. We understand that. And in fact, on a green belt and ranks beyond that, we teach students to tone it down a little bit, and you don't have to exaggerate it quite the way that I'm doing this here. But on an orange belt level, this is a really good thing to learn and to practice so that you have the ability to get more of your body weight into every technique. I hope that's helpful. Thank you.